China's leader, Xi Jinping, has warned against Western moves to disrupt international unity.
For a ship to navigate a storm and sail towards a bright future, all the passengers must pull together. The thought of throwing anyone overboard is simply unacceptable. When that happens, both the victims and the initiators of such an act stand to lose. In this world, unilateralism and an excessive pursuit of self-interests are doomed to fail.
The BRICS emerging economies, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are planning to hasten the introduction of their own financial system to rival the Western-led SWIFT network. That's Western powers have lashed out at Moscow with sanctions, including cutting some Russian banks off from SWIFT. Russia's finance minister says that the new system will help countries shift away from the dollar dominance and create a buffer against shocks in case of a global economic downturn. BRICS countries also plan to use their national currencies for import-export operations and more closely integrate their bank card systems. The director of the Geopolitical Economy Research Group, Radhika Desai, says the dollar-dominated system has been hindering the world's economy.
The Europeans, in launching the euro, were the first set of countries. And in fact, it goes back a long way, back when the dollar's link to gold was broken in 1971. That was when the Europeans began their a long journey towards monetary union, whose purpose was precisely to eliminate the dollar from their mutual payments. The euro doesn't look in great shape right now, but that is just the way these things work out. So I think the Russians, the Chinese, the Indians, in many ways, different countries are trying different ways in which to assert their independence from the dollar system, which has been extremely destructive because the dollar system rests on a sort of a bed of financialization, which is precisely what has been doing the two biggest sorts of economic damage to the world. Number one, increasing inequality to such an extent that demand remains a problem in the world. And number two, ensuring that vast amounts of money which are sloshing around the financial system are not invested productively, but are rather invested in speculation and parasitical predation on the earned incomes of those who actually work for a living. The dollar system has been deeply contradictory from the start. People just talk as though the dollar's dominance was completely natural. What they forget is that it has required, as I say, this foundation of financialization, which has been destructive. China is increasingly providing alternative trade partnerships, alternative investment relationships, and alternative payment systems and other such infrastructure. And of course, the Russians, the Indians, etc. I'm just saying that China now provides a competing goal. So you can, in a certain sense, you can look at the matter this way. The Americans and their European, acolytes are doing what they're doing, that is putting sanctions on Russia, etc., in order to scare the rest of the world into coming and becoming part of their system, into cleaving close to the West. In reality, the effect of these actions is to actually not unite the world under the domination of the West, but actually to divide the world between a small part of the world, which is essentially the old imperial core of the world economy, which is centered around a decaying, financialized, predatory, speculative American economy. And on the other hand, the rest of the world, which consists of the vast majority of the world's countries and the overwhelming majority of the world's population, which will be centered around a more dynamic China. And of course, if Russia and China get closer together, as seems to be the case, then it will be a very powerful duo, because what China has in terms of its labor force, etc., and what Russia has in terms of her resources, and also, of course, Russia's highly trained labor force, I think this is going to be the most dynamic duo ever seen.